Good morning, guys. Today I wanted to shoot a quick video discussing two very basic points, two basic ideas, two basic techniques. First, looking at Gedan-barai, and then looking at zenkutsu-dachi and how we put both of those together. So obviously, this is the start of a new year. We've got a bunch of new students, and this video is just to give you something to practice at home, to get the coordination down, to get your understanding of how to actually move your body forward and backwards within the stance, number one, and then at the same time getting the coordination down of the Gedan-barai. So if some of you are advanced practitioners, you know, this is probably easy for you now. But now that I'm thinking about it and teaching it, I'm like, it's actually quite an accomplishment, because if you look at everything that's going on in terms of footwork and at the same time getting down the upper body coordination, all of the bilateral coordination, asymmetrical, symmetrical, whatever, it's pretty complex. So, you know, I guess we've overlooked how many repetitions we've done and how fluid it all is. So anyway, let's get down to the basics. Number one, looking at the Gedan-barai. So for all of our beginners, this is the first block or strike that we've been looking at. One of the things that I've been going on about a lot is try not to get this with your elbows being out here, but bring those elbows down to your center line. Make sure that you're able to intersect that center line, and then right from there. So I'll go with this 3/4 view. From here, nice and tight, you're going to feel that bicep extended, and make sure that your hands are also rotating, right? What you don't want is to just have your hands kind of dead and inanimate wherever they are. Try to get as much rotation out as possible. So from here, going down. The second concept. Okay, so we're in this position, center line right there. Second idea. Make sure that as one hand is, in a sense, pushing, the other hand will be pulling. And that's happening at exactly the same time. So make sure from here, push and pull, okay? Now, third concept, the hand that's back is the hand that's now going to prepare. In class, we've been looking at different close-range self-defense ideas. You know, maybe somebody's grabbing the wrist, you're knocking it off with the elbow, you could be striking up, boom, striking down. We've also been looking at a long-range front kick coming in, and we've been defending and moving offline that way. We've also just been kind of sweeping the block, just sweeping it this way. So many different uses that we can get out of this one movement pattern. But you don't get any of those if you don't understand elbows down the middle, keep this tight, and then pushing and pulling action, okay? So getting to this third part, from here, this hand that finishes back in the hip, this is called hikite, the pulling back hand. Now this is the one that's going to come up now and then back down, okay? So we're always getting into this position, 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2. Great, so that's pretty straightforward, and even for some beginners, that's complicated in the beginning, just being in shizentai, just in this stationary position, just here. And I'm sure for the advanced practitioners out there, if you can remember, it was probably difficult for you too to get it in the beginning. What we're going to look at now is the zenkutsu-dachi. So this is the second stance that we've learned so far. We've looked at kiba-dachi, the horse riding stance, and now going into the zenkutsu-dachi. What I want you to remember are these 2 points. Roughly using your shoulder width as the measure. Your stance is going to be about 2 shoulder widths in length. So let's say roughly this is shoulder width, and then from here you're going to go 2 shoulder widths. Okay? The majority of the weight, you know, you can hear some people say 60-40, 55, 45. I'm just going to say put most of your weight on the front leg. The back leg doesn't have to be locked out straight, okay? But you really want to be pressing with that back leg forward. Keep that posture straight. I know that in some styles, Tai Chi, Qigong, Kung Fu, they want you to move a little bit more forward, but in Shotokan, just kind of keep that torso nice and straight, keep that shin resting back, okay? So we're right there. So now, what do we have within the zenkutsu-dachi? Oh, before I forget, we've got 2 shoulder widths in length. Make sure that you're not here, okay? So this is a pretty common mistake in the beginning. Front toes moving out that way, and your feet, I always call it, you're walking the tightrope. So it looks like this. So people are stepping in that front stance and they're walking a tightrope. It's difficult to walk that way. Imagine doing karate that way. So make sure, I always say between shoulder width and between hip width. Okay, so if you're doing competition, usually as you're moving in, your stance is probably going to get a little bit narrower, so you can concentrate all of your energy in there. But still, what you don't want is too wide, and you also don't want too narrow here. This is really, really tough. So what's the solution? Between shoulder width, so no wider than shoulder width and no narrower than hip width. Okay, so that's what we're looking for in the front stance. So we're here. Okay, so we've got zenkutsu-dachi, which is the front stance, and we've got Gedan-barai, which is our downward sweeping block. Okay, so we've got these two ideas, these two techniques. Now we're going to put them together. So from here, the important thing, especially in the beginning, is that you understand how to manipulate your mass. So a lot of people somehow take a step and they do this, but they're not really moving forward. First things first, drop your hips down. So as you begin to move in your stance, you're going to drop your hips. And what we're going to be doing in this pattern is simply stepping forward. 1, finding that stance, coming back, staying low, switching legs, pushing now again forward with that back leg. 2, so this is our second stance. Then we're going to work the concept of pushing back, stepping backwards. So push all the way back. 3, this is 3, and now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring the back leg here, and we're going to push back again. Boom! That feeling. So we're working two concepts. First, we're going to do 2 pushes forward and then coming back that way twice. Okay, so let's try that again. So from here, I'll go sideways so you can see. So from here, first things first, dropping the hips, and I want my hips to be functioning down here for the duration of the exercise. So now I'm going to push off of that back leg. 1. Okay, good. From here now, I'm going to bring this leg back to that starting point. Now I'm going to switch. Boom. 2. Now from here, I'm going to push all the way back. All the way back. Number 3. And now I'm going to switch feet. Coming back to my starting point, and now I push back again. 4. Okay, so we're right in there. So once again, just so you can see the pattern, from here it's forward, forward, back, back. That feeling. Okay, once again, stepping forward, forward, back, back. That feeling. So we're working both concepts in a really reduced space. So this is kind of nice. It's like a little mini kata, like a 4-movement kata. So now what are we going to do? Now we're going to put the Gedan-barai into the stepping. So if you are a beginner, this is where it starts to get challenging. This is where the smoke starts to come out of your brain a little bit because you're thinking so much, all right, what should I be doing with the arms and everything? We're not even talking about timing right now. I'm just telling you how to do these gross movements. But then if we're thinking, okay, you know, how should the timing be? That's another level of refinement. But let's just start off with the basic movement from here. In position, in my starting point, I'm going to drop my hips. I'm going to step with my left leg. Left arm is going to go out. Ready? So first step is, boom, 1. Okay, so we're right there. Now, as I begin to come back to my neutral point, from the legs, as I begin to push from the knee, I also start coming back from my elbows. Boom, here. So I always, I have this idea that, well, it was taught to me by one of my instructors. I don't remember which one. Either my Tai Chi instructor or one of my other ones. But he always told me feet and hands together, knees and elbows together. So you want to get those moving in general, like as a general rule of thumb. That's what you want moving at the same time, to be able to coordinate your body at the same time. So the reason I say that is now, as I begin to move, as my knee starts to move, my elbows, everything starts to go boom. So I'm back into this neutral point, right in there, crossing that center line. Now I'm going to step with the right, boom, blocking with the right, right in there. Now I'm going to take it all the way back. So from here you could add a stop here. So remember, the hand that's back is now the one that's going to come up. So this hand is going to come back, 1. This right leg is going to continue all the way through, 2. And then finally, our 4th movement, we're going to come back to our neutral point, 1. Remember again, this back hand is coming up, and watch, as my foot starts to move, as my back foot starts to move, my back hand begins to move as well. Boom, together, and then I'm going to push off, going back. And those are our 4 steps and coming back. Yummy. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'll go 3/4 view so you can see from here. Again, if you can remember the concept of moving your hands and feet together with your knees and elbows together, that's going to solve a lot of problems in terms of timing. Okay, so just try to do it nice and slow, but keep those ideas. What you don't want to do, the opposite, the wrong thing to do would be to step and then do the arms, or kind of do the arms and step. And all of these things may happen in the beginning. It has to happen. You have to make the mistakes. The mistakes are good things, and you want to make a bunch of them to try to get them out of the way. With every mistake, the closer you are to getting that refinement, that mastery. Okay, so don't worry about it, but go slow and be aware. Pick one idea at a time to focus on. So from here, once again, slowly, we're going in. As I'm dropping my knees, also prepping the arms. Boom, 1. Now I'm going to come back to my neutral point. Passing through, 2. I'm going to step all the way back, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to bring that back hand back. 3. And now from here I'm going to switch, coming back to that neutral point, 4, and then I'm done. If you want to continue, you can keep going. So right from here now you're going to step forward again. So from here, as I begin to move, passing through there, 1. And again from here, back to the neutral point, 2. Stepping back, 3. And then from here, back to the neutral point, 4. We're going to finish right there, yummy. I'm going to leave you guys with that. For the beginners, that's a bunch to work on. That's a bunch to do, and to get that really nice and smooth and not choppy is, I wouldn't say it's an easy task in the beginning. For the intermediate and higher grades, it's a good warm-up. You want to do 10 sets of those, so that you're doing 40 stances. That's a decent little warm-up in terms of timing and just stance structure, and also just really getting your mind and your body used to pushing off the line. Even if you were just doing a gyakuzuki, you have to implement the same mechanics to generate that speed and power. Thank you very much, guys. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.